Now we're going to be working on SPSS Chapter 7 and Chapter 8. It begins on page 93, Chapter 7. You have the data set, which is coin 1 and coin 2, and you've already had that entered, and you have H as 1, the code, and T as 2. So let's go on to page number 94. So let's get the coin data up. There we go. Okay, for the first one, we're analyzing, we're doing a one sample, the nonparametric test, so nonparametric. Notice one sample, ours is the third one down, not the first one. It's in different order, our version of SPSS. So there we go, one sample, left click. Let me reset these, go to the beginning. Objectives will more than likely come up, and notice it's automatically compare observed data to hypothesize. Then we go to the fields. For the first one here, what it is, it's we have coin 1. We move coin 1 over to the test fields, right there. And then we have the field selected. Now we go to the settings. We want to customize our tests. So we want to compare observed probabilities to hypothesize the chi-square test. Let's click on the options. It is selected. All categories have equal probability, so we click OK. And then let's turn to page number 96. We click Run. Let me look for the output viewer down here. Okay, there's what you see at the top of page 96, the hypotheses test summary. You left click it, you do a double left click, and that will bring this up here, which you'll see more of that on your screen than mine. So I work back and forth. So that's on 96. Now let's move forward to read over 97. We're going on to chi-square test of independence. We're still using the coin.save data. So analyze. We go to descriptives and crosstabs. Descriptive statistics, crosstabs, reset. What we want for the rows, we want coin 1 for the rows, coin 2 for the columns, as you already saw. That's on page 98. And now that we have that selected, we then select what statistic we want ran. We want the chi-square up here, so we check that. So we click continue. And then we want to tell it the cells. We want observed and expected. And then we click OK. And there's the data set. You look on page 100. Move this down. This one, coin 1 to coin 2 cross tabulation and chi-square tests. Those are on page 100. The next test we're going to do is the Mann-Whitney-U test, and the data we're going to use for that, let's look at this. It's the race.save data. It's called race, so bring this down. Okay, there it is, the first one. Okay. What we're going to do first is we're going to go to nonparametric test independent samples, so analyze. Nonparametric test independent samples. Click on that. And more than likely your objective one will come up. And you want to make sure that automatically compare distributions across groups is selected. And then you go to your fields. For this one, it's long. Moves over to the test field, and the groups is experience. We have the field selected. Now we go to the settings. We want to customize our test as far as what analyses we want to be ran. For this, we want Mann-Whitney-U 2 samples. We have that selected. Now we can click Run. And let's bring up the output for you. There's the output viewer. And that's our Mann-Whitney-U test. Notice that's significant. We have significant level of 0.029, so we double left click to bring up the next table, the next figure, which is this one here. Okay? Which you will be seeing more on your screen than I have on mine, because you don't have the magnification software more than likely. So let me bring that back up one more time. Okay, so that's the one from page 104. Next we're going to go to the Wilcoxon test. That's your section 7.4 on page 105. What data are we using for this? We're still using the same data set. The race.save. So what we're going to go up to here is analyze. We're going to go to nonparametric and related samples. Nonparametric. Related samples, it's the first on our version of SPSS. Automatically compare observed data to hypothesize. That radio button's checked. See that? Then you click fields. What we're putting over to the fields is test fields is long and medium. So we can either double left click or we can single left click and push the arrow. So we have the field selected. And notice here, the radio button, use custom field assignments, that's already selected. Then we go to settings. We want to customize our settings because we want to tell it which test we want to run, what analyses. For this one, we're doing a Wilcoxon matched pairs, signed rank 2 samples. Then we click run. And again, notice where this table, that's in page 107, so we double left click again, and this comes up, which you see at the bottom of page 107, the model viewer. Okay, so you have that one ran. Let's go on to page 108. The next we have Kruskal-Wallis H test, and the data we're using here is the same data again, but we're adding more to it. Notice on page 109, so let me get out of this. I have that saved from earlier, so I don't have to enter it now. Let me see. There it is. And notice there's a new one for experience. They have the 0. The 0 is equal to no experience. So we have this data set. We click Analyze. We go to nonparametric independent samples. Nonparametric independent samples right there. I want to go to the beginning. We have to reset this. Automatically compare distributions across books at across groups at radio buttons checked. Next we go over to the fields. For this one, okay, turn to page 110. It shows you what fields. What you're comparing is long. You have long for the test fields and experience for the groups. So long for the test fields and experience for the groups. That's good. We have the fields now selected. Next we go to the settings. That's telling it what test we want ran. So we click Customize Test. In this one we're doing a Kruskal-Wallis one-way ANOVA. K-samples, and then we want to make sure, yes, pairwise is selected. That's good. Now what we will click is Run. And let me bring up the output viewer again. Okay, there it is. You see the hypotheses test summary, which is on page 110, so a double left click. That brings up, notice on the top of page 111, and the results are significant. We can check a little bit more information on this. We want to do pairwise comparisons. Okay, notice we have the pairwise comparisons of experience, non-experienced, to experienced, to medium experience, and down here, this is what you see in your textbook. Let me just try to move this over so you can see some more of it. Here, let me show you. That's what you have. on the bottom of page 111. Now we go to the next one. Oh, there is something I wanted to point out on that too. Let me pull that back up again. My order is different than the one in the textbook. We have medium experienced to experienced, and then we have medium experienced to no experienced, and then experienced to no experienced. That's in different order than what it is in the textbook. So let me close out of that now. And next we're running, which data are we running for the, let's see, we have page 113. We have a Friedman test, and that is using, let's look at page 113. Okay, we're using the same data set, so I can just go up to Analyze. I mean, the Friedman test is a nonparametric type test, and it's your related samples. That's what the Friedman test is. So you have nonparametric related samples. Notice ours is at the top. And again, I was in this, as you see. So I'm going to reset it. And we'll see if it resets at all. Now, there's a radio button there. Automatically compare observed data to hypothesized. Let me click on fields. Yes, it did. Let's go over to page 114. We're selecting long, medium, and short. So if you want, you can double left click, or you can do a single left click and then move it over with the arrow. So we have the field settings selected. Now we go to settings. We want to tell it what assessment we want to use, what statistical analyses. So for this test, we're going to be selecting a Friedman's two-way ANOVA. Let's write down here. ANOVA by ranks. And yes, all pairwise is selected. So now we can click Run. And there it is. That's in the book. This is on page 115. So we double left click again on it. And that's what they have in the textbook. Okay? Right there. And that's on page 115. And since it's not significant, we have different choices. We don't have what they mentioned in the book where you can do pairwise comparisons. We don't have that as an option. So now we're done with chapter 7. And read over page number 116. Explains about writing this a little bit. So let me close out of this. And what data are we using? Oh, we're using the questions data for the next one. So let me get into that. Minimize this. Let's bring up the questions data. I have this all minimized here on toolbar where you may have to go into File and Open, okay? As in what I'm referring to, you may have to go up here, File, and then Open the data. But I already have it down below, so we don't have to do that. So for the first, this is the data set from chapter 2. What we're doing first is your analyze, correlate, bivariate. So analyze, okay, down to correlate, bivariate. Let me reset this. What we're selecting is Q1, Q2, Q3, and total. So again, you can double left click if you want, double left click, or you can just single left click and move it over. Now the test we want is the Pearson, and we want to test the significance to be two-tailed and flag significant correlations. So all of them are selected, see Pearson, two-tailed and flag significant correlations. Let's turn the page. Okay, so just though I want to show you options. You can include things like means and standard deviations if you want by clicking on the options. We'll cancel this. So we click OK. And let me bring the output viewer up. There you go. You have what they have in the textbook. Now notice we don't have 1.000 for hours, but the rest is the same for the Pearson correlation, okay? So there we go. We have page 118. Now let's work our way over to page 119. We're going to check, as they say, Cronbach's alpha. And we're going to go into the reliability analyses, which would be under that scale. So we want to go up to Analyze, Scale, Reliability Analyses. So click on that. Let me reset. We want to check all the items, Q1, Q2, Q3, for this assessment. And then we have, notice here, even though we're not selecting these, we have some choice if we want some other options, as you learn further with statistics. So for this purpose of this, we're going to click, notice the model, it says alpha. So that's what we're checking, the alpha. So we're going to click OK. And notice we have here, let me go down again. There we go. That's what you have on page 119. And notice it says on the page 119, in this example, the reliability coefficient is 0.407. Numbers close to 1.00 are very good, but numbers close to 0.00 represent poor internal consistency. Now let's look on to section 8.3, test, retest, reliability. We don't have the ACT scores in the book. So we are done with the data in chapter 8. Okay.